in the plot settings like that. And we can, this is not new, but we have done it before, of course, also add a second x-axis. So if I would like to show both sex and treatment here. So treatment for females, treatment for males, like that. And let's take that away again. And we can also, in the options here, connect the median value here between the groups with a line. That. And the violin plot is really a development of the box plot. So let's have a look at the box plot as well and do the same thing here. So treatment and a variable here, this one. And yeah, here we have the same options as you remember. We can show the data points and so on. And here we now also added the possibility to connect the medians and connect the means like that. So that's a new update also of the box plot. And here we also have the possibility to have show the significance between the group separation also with asterisks. Okay. And then we also updated the line plot and added the possibility to work with averages in the line plot, which was not possible before, and also with whiskers to show the difference between the samples in a group. So let's change this now to a line plot. And here in the axis data selection, we now pick sample annotations. So that means that we group samples based on the sample annotation. And again, we need to pick which variable that we are working with, like that. And in this case, you are probably interested to show several variables in the same plot, maybe. Let's take away the grid here. There's too much information. So now you can see, let's focus on one. Here we now show the mean value and a lot of more information here. And we also show whiskers here. And you can control this. So here in the options tab, you control if it's the average or maybe the median that you are looking at. So if we look at the average, then you can choose from standard error, standard deviation, or confidence interval, like this. If you work with the median, you can choose from interquartile range or mean absolute deviation as your whiskers here. So a lot of new possibilities here, and you probably want to compare maybe a couple of lines here. And again, if you want symbol, you just change that in label like that. Then we see which ones we are comparing here. So that was the line plot. We also made updates to the bar plot. So let's have a look at that. So we changed this to bar sample like that. And again, we pick the x-axis, we want treatment, and the y-axis, we pick a variable like this. Okay, and the bar plot comes up like this. Because when we read in data, we normalize it for the visualization to mean 0 and variance 1, because that's what works best with the PCA plot and the heat map, putting all the variables on the same scale. But when you are working with the 2D plots, you probably want to see the original values on the y-axis. So then it's a good thing to change this normalization back to none, meaning that we see the actual measured values here. I think that's a positive, good way of showing the bars. And we want to color them. And now here we have, it's no longer possible to use this coloring option because if you color by the wrong thing, the legend that you get out could be wrong. So instead you color from here in the View tab, color by annotation, like that. And the whiskers are the same. So in the options here, you decide what you want to show, average or median. And you have the same whiskers available here. And the same on the median. So the whiskers here, they are exactly the same as you show in the line plot. So the new thing here is that we automatically collapse this to average and show the standard deviation before you actually saw this was the default look where you saw the individual samples, but now the default, we start here with, I think it's standard deviation or maybe standard error as the default whiskers. And then in the options tab, you can go in and change this. And if we open the plot settings, so just double click here, you can also define the bar gap and the group gap here. I think this is more obvious when you work with two. So let's add one more annotation here, sex for instance. So here you really define the gap between the groups like that and the gap between the bars like that. Good. And some small fixes here. We fixed the color scale for fold change. I don't know if you noticed this, but we now made sure that the 0 for log fold change or difference is always 0, and the middle of the scale for fold change is always 1. So let's have a look at that. So the volcano plot. I will open up the bigger data set because that's more interesting. So here we are, and let's change this to a volcano plot. And the volcano plot needs some kind of two-group test because it needs the fold change, which is only available when you compare two groups. And then you now see that, okay, so here we now have the color scale is difference, which is the same as log fold change. And you see that the middle of the scale is 0, which is what we expect it to be. And we also now added a headline for the color scale, which wasn't there before. And in the View tab, if I change this to fold change instead, so the coloring is fold change, then you see that the middle of the scale is 1, just as we expect. So that was maybe more of a bug fix than a new feature. And then we fixed something else, which is previously when we exported the color legend, when we exported plots, you get all the groups, even if all the groups were not active. But that is now changed. So let's just see what we have here. And now you see, now I still have the normalization set to none, which is not good for the PCA plot. So when we work with the PCA plot and heat map, we want the normalization to mean 0 and variance 1. So if you set it to none for a 2D plot, make sure that you change it back to mean 0 variance 1 when you continue your analysis. So here, let's also use this like this, and now I want to export this plot. So sorry. So then I want to take away drug 2, for instance. And now when I export this, export image to my desktop, PCA, I'll do it again because I don't think it was exported to my desktop. So I'll do it again. No, put it on the desktop and then PCA, save. Okay. And then let's just have a look at it. So here is the plot, and here are now the legends, including, and you can control the size of the legend here. But you see, only drug 1 and placebo are included. Previously, we had also drug 2, even though it wasn't active. And now, since you also have the possibility to use symbols or shapes, that's exported as a separate legend. So you now get 2 color legends for the sample annotations. And I actually think that when you color a heat map on everything, you actually now get all the legends. So let me just check this. So I color this by treatment, and then I color it by all like that. And then when I export this plot, copy to clipboard, no, export image, heat map, save, okay, heat map, okay. No, I wasn't sure about that actually, so I need to go back and check that. Let's continue. And we also added the possibility of a count matrix. We improved the count matrix import. Before, it was necessary to have a column with gene length in it. Even though you didn't know the gene length, you had to at least enter a column with the same value for all genes. Now we simplified this and introduced a choice for that here, which means that you don't have to edit the file at all before importing it. And the way to do that is to do File, Open, Count Data Without Gene Length wizard. So here we are. So here you see we have count data that is not normalized. So this is a raw count matrix, yes. We don't have any information about the gene length. I want to use TMM. So now I click this. That means that all gene lengths are set to 1, so I don't really use that information. But I still do normalization based on read depth. So then I press next, and then I just do the top left cell, top right cell, variable annotations, the sample annotations, oops. And this is imported. And if we look here at the table, we see that here I have my normalized and log transformed values. And then I save that it's as a GE data file, so I don't need to do the normalization once again. And I think I've covered all of these, the line plot, the box plot, the bar plot. And we also added very late into the last version, we added the support for H5 file format for single cell data. So that's a template. So let's have a look here in the template browser. So here we have a template for 10x H5 data format. So here you enter the path to the file that you want to import, and then we can do some pre-filtration here. And then it will load this data set. It still takes a minute or two to do that, so I won't show it to you. But if you're working with single cell data, you now have the possibility to also use H5 data format. Yeah, so I think that was it. That was what I had planned to show you. So if you haven't already downloaded the software, the version 3.9, I recommend that you immediately go to our homepage and download it and start trying out these new features. And I will send you the slides so that you can repeat this on your own. So are there any questions? Let me just open the chat. No, I can't see that there are any questions. Let me just double check again. Nope. So by that, then I would like to thank you very much for listening to me and have a very good rest of the day. And you are, as always, very welcome to send me an email if you have any questions. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.